Today I thought about the adventures of Aimo Koivunen. That time during World War II, when every country was running their super soldier program trying to create Captain America. But Finland accidentally made the Winter Soldier. I know it sounds like a Marvel movie, but let me explain. Before I get into the story of Aimo Koivunen, let me give you some background. During World War II, Finland was between a rock and a hard place. Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia. The Finns were first attacked by the Soviets and they kind of won, which surprised everyone. And then they got threatened by Nazi Germany to either join or be invaded. The Finns did not like either option, but seeing that they have just won one fight with the Soviets, they decided to ally with their Hitler-loving but Soviet-hating neighbors to beat back the USSR. But after the Nazis started getting beaten by the Allies, Finland saw an opportunity to finally be free.
Smeagol is free!
They flipped one last time to join the Allies and helped get rid of the Nazis.
We told him to go away. And away he goes, precious! Gone! Smeagol is free!
Our guy in the story, Aimo Koivunen, was born in 1917 in Finland at the end of World War I. He would have been in his 20s when the shit hit the fan, and the fan completely flew off the ceiling during the Continuation War, the second part of Finland's fighting back the Russians or the Soviets. Aimo and his unit were on a snow patrol when they came across some Russians, and shooting started and they realized that they were heavily outnumbered. So they decided to make a tactically sound decision and skedaddle out there. The problem was it was Finland and hence there was a lot of snow. So they would have to ski away from the Russians. So as they're skedaddling, Aimo was on the front. So his job was to break the trail and chart a ski track for his unit to follow. And therefore his unit's speed was dictated by how fast Aimo could work. Breaking a path through unpacked snow is already back-breaking work, and Aimo started to get tired. And as we discussed before, his speed dictated the speed of his unit, which meant escape from the Russians, which meant if Aimo cannot be fast enough, all of them are gonna be captured or by the Russians. Aimo Koivunen was known to be a teetotaler in his unit, and therefore he was entrusted with his unit's whole month's supply of Pervitin. A brief background of Pervitin. The Nazis were trying to create super soldiers, and the thing they found most effective in that pursuit were drugs. They started to give their soldiers Pervitin, which at that point was an over-the-counter medication in Germany. It was essentially medical grade meth. The Nazis saw amazing results from soldiers who were on Pervitin, because of course they did. It's meth. It's not Breaking Bad chili powder meth. It's medical grade meth. The soldiers hopped up on Pervitin could travel 22 miles or 35.4 kilometers without having to sleep, eat or take a rest. Yes, the blitzkrieg was blitzed out of their mind. So back to Aimo Koivunen. He was in the middle of a very demanding task, blazing a track through the snow for his whole unit to escape the Soviets, and he was exhausted. So Aimo felt the need for speed. But getting just one pill out of the bottle while you're being chased by the Soviets who are actively shooting at you, and you have to blaze a track through unpacked snow and probably your unit is shouting at you to go faster is already difficult. Add on top of that he had mittens on because it was, well, freezing temperatures. So Aimo was having trouble getting just one pill out and he decided to go full send. He dumped the whole bottle in his hand and took his unit's whole supply of Pervitin in one go. 1 month's whole supply of his whole unit in one go. And he didn't even chew it, he dry swallowed the pills. Tweaker time. Aimo at this point feels great. He has the power. He did his job and he did it good. He was fast. I mean, look at this dude. He became the Flash immediately. That much Pervitin should have dropped Aimo immediately. That much Pervitin would have killed a horse, but he survived. So having finally escaped the Russians, they came to a stop and they immediately realized that there was something wrong with Aimo. He couldn't stop, he couldn't sit still, and he was talking to himself. So realizing that Aimo was high as a kite, his comrades decided to take away his ammo and his knife, just to make sure that he doesn't accidentally hurt himself or his comrades. They neglected to pay attention to Aimo for maybe about 1 minute, and then Aimo was nowhere to be seen. Aimo, in his tweaked out delirium, had skied off somewhere in the time that nobody was looking at him. He wakes up half buried in the snow, no supplies, no ammo, and no idea where did he come from, where did he go.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
See, Aimo had blacked out, but not the kind of blackout where he lied down on the floor to take a rest and then slept there. No, Aimo had skied over 60 miles and then went to sleep. So Aimo wakes up confused and is looking around, and suddenly a Soviet soldier jumps out from behind a tree and starts shooting at him. So Aimo immediately goes to his rifle, takes aim, and hears the loudest sound ever. And that's when he realizes that his friends had taken his ammo. So Aimo decides to do the most logical thing there and chucks his gun at the face of that soldier. And that soldier promptly explodes into a pile of snow. It takes Aimo a minute to realize that the Russian was just a tree branch covered in snow, which means Aimo is now hallucinating. So with no other option really, he straps on his skis again and starts to go looking for his friends. So after about an hour of skiing, he sees what seems to be a campfire. He starts skiing towards the camp of his unit with the campfire going, and he's now relaxed, thinking that he's going to be safe since he's found his unit and everything's going to be cool. So he comes to a stop in the middle of the camp, looks around, turns around, and starts skiing away from that camp immediately. See, Aimo had skied right into the middle of the Soviet camp. So he was back at square one, still being chased by the Soviets, only this time he didn't have any backup or his unit with him, and he was high as a kite. But he was high as a kite. It was tweaker time. So he went full send, and there was no way the Soviets were catching up to this guy. Aimo is the meth man. So the Soviets decided to chase him for a bit, but they eventually gave up. Aimo skis till he's tired, which is a long time since he's the meth man. Cool, now he has escaped the Russians twice, he has no idea where his unit is, and he starts to get hungry. So he looks around, grabs some pine birds and whatever he can find, puts in his canteen cup, gets a fire going, melts some snow into it, makes a kind of a pine gruel thing, and eats that, and finds that to be extremely delicious because of course it's tweaker time. Aimo is high as a kite, everything's delicious to him. So he eats his pine gruel thing and loves it because of course he does. And then he decides that it's time to sleep. He goes to sleep around the fire he's built. He wakes up the next day still full of energy and decides to again go look for his unit. He skis around all day and he comes across a hunting cabin. He goes up to the hunting cabin, tries the door, it's unlocked. See, around parts like these where there's extreme weather, people generally keep the doors to their hunting cabins unlocked when they're not in use, so that if somebody's in Ivan's condition, lost in extreme weather, they can find a place to sleep. So Ivan goes in the hunting cabin. He decides to build a fire. Not in the fireplace, which is right there. He decides to build a fire right in the middle of the hunting cabin. Because meth, of course. He goes to sleep and all night he's feeling the cabin getting hotter and hotter, and he's shimmying a little bit away from the heat. And in the middle of the night, he wakes up, looks around and sees the cabin is absolutely on fire. So he gets up, gets out of the cabin, puts his back against the outside wall of the cabin and goes to sleep there because meth. He wakes up again. This time he's woken up by growling. He looks around and finds a pair of yellow eyes staring directly at him. There is a Wolverine staring directly at Ivan and growling. Now, Wolverine is a relatively small creature, but it's an animal full of claws, teeth and hate. So if you let it, it will kill you. Just ask Hugh Jackman. It's fighting time. He takes out his knife, he grabs a hold of the Wolverine, finally gets on top of it, he stabs the Wolverine, and that's when he realizes, oh, he has no knife. His comrades had taken his knife away along with his ammunition. The thing that he thought was a Wolverine was a wooden log. The thing that he thought was his knife was his compass. Wood log, compass. Compass broken. So Aimo gets up, now pissed off that he's also broken his compass. He decides to again go look for his friends. Aimo sees a campfire out in the distance in the darkness of night and decides that it can't be the Russians again and start to ski towards that campfire. But it seems that the campfire is kind of running away from him. As fast as he tries to go towards the campfire just goes that fast away from him. He just can't catch up to the campfire. So he keeps on trying, he keeps on skiing all night. And then the morning comes around and Aimo realizes that he's been trying to chase the North Star for the last 8 hours. Now it's morning. Aimo cannot do much more but go look for his friends. He's still full of energy, so he starts to go look around. But he is in luck because after skiing for a few more hours, he comes across an abandoned German forward observation base. Aimo is extremely happy and relaxed. Even though it's an abandoned base, there's going to be radio inside, maybe some supplies. He decides to go check it out. But around World War II, the Germans had the habit of booby-trapping any bases they left behind so that if the Allies come across it or their enemies come across it, they don't come across more bases. Aimo steps on a landmine which blows up his foot, but he survives. Although Aimo kinda gives up at this point and just lays there waiting to die. He keeps on waiting, keeps on waiting. He's literally too high to die. So he's like, fine, I'll get up. He gets up, approaches the base again. He gets to the base, grabs the door handle, and that is booby trap 2. The door blows up and throws Aimo some 30 yards back. Now, Aimo is lying flat on his back, this time absolutely sure that he's about to die. He just gives up again and decides, cool. He just lays there waiting to die, and he keeps on waiting. 7 days pass. He just lays there for 7 days straight. So 7 days later, some Finnish soldiers finally come around. They see Aimo laying there and they ask him, does he need help? He says, yeah, I need help. They start coming towards him. One of them steps on a landmine and they say they can only save one of them, and they're obviously gonna try to save the guy they came with. So they tell Aimo to hold on and that they'll go back to base and inform somebody that Aimo's lying there and send some help. Cool. A little bit of bad news, but Aimo now has hope. Now he finally starts trying to survive. Instead of just laying there waiting to die, he starts trying to survive. He gets a little fire going near him, melts some snow to have some water. At one point, a Siberian jay lands near him and he smacks it with a skiing pole and just eats it raw. Just Gollum, just hug off. It takes 3 more days, but he's finally rescued. Finnish soldiers come around, pick him up, and take him to the hospital. He's finally saved. It takes 3 more days, but he's finally saved. When he wakes up in the hospital, he's informed that he's been missing for 14 days and that he was found 250 miles away from where he originally left his unit. Aimo, when he wakes up in the hospital, has a resting heart rate of 200 beats per minute and he weighs 95 pounds. This guy was an exception, not the rule. Drugs are bad for you. Do not do drugs. By all accounts, he should have died. That's all about the adventures of Aimo Koivunen. If you want to correct my pronunciations, if you want to give me suggestions, or if you just want to say hi, do make use of the comment section. Do like, share and subscribe. That's all for today.